December 31st, 1972, in the village of Pukanen in Vitali, Finland, somewhere between 7:10 and 7:20 p.m., Miss Rita Kehu, 21, and Miss Circa Pukanen, 22, had left the cottage they were staying at and began walking down the long road. They hoped to flag down a passing car and hitch a ride to the New Year's party they were planning on attending. After walking for a few minutes, Rita observed a red flashing light in the evening sky. It appeared to be larger than the moon. They thought this was strange, but carried on walking. Soon another object appeared, another red light, this time about the size of a tennis ball, which drifted silently, moving up into the sky about 2 meters. It began to move towards them, fast. As it did so, it appeared to fade in and out. Just then, car headlights appeared further down the road. For whatever reason, this seemed to scare the red ball of light away. The car drove past the 2 girls and did not stop. The ladies were once again alone on that country road. Rita and Circa merely shrugged it off and carried on walking, this time hand in hand. It was at this moment that something terrifying began to play out, as Rita was suddenly wrenched away from her friend and thrown about 3 meters onto the road. Strangely, neither girl could see anyone else there. It was as if some unseen force had grabbed Rita and tossed her aside. According to Rita, as she lay on the road, she began to make out, in the darkness some meters away, a black vague shape about 6.5 feet tall, which was about a meter off the surface of the road. Near the top of this shape she observed a light the size of an egg. It was then that Rita noticed how strange everything around her had become. She likened it to being inside of a force field. All sound had faded away, replaced by an eerie silence. Further, she found that she could not speak or scream. As well, she struggled to breathe. It was as if she was inside of a vacuum, and all the air was being sucked out of it. After a few minutes, by sheer force of will, she managed to free herself of her invisible constraints and ran off towards a nearby farmhouse, screaming at the top of her lungs. Her friend Circa stood watching this play out. She had no idea what was going on, but instantly became frightened when the reddish tennis ball-like object, which had seemingly reappeared, began moving in her direction. It advanced on her rapidly, moving close to her right shoulder. At this point, she too turned and ran towards the farmhouse, following closely behind Rita. She noted that she could feel a strange sensation and a certain amount of heat on her back as the object followed close behind. This is when both girls experienced something that neither could understand or properly explain. As they ran across the field towards the farmhouse, they both felt as if the world around them changed. It was as if everything around them was suddenly replaced with an emptiness, a cold, deserted landscape without any sound. They noticed that the mere act of running became extremely difficult, as if time itself slowed down. It was only when they managed to cross through the fencing around the property that the red ball of light seemed to drift away. They eventually banged on the door, and the owner promptly let them inside. Afterwards, both women noticed that they were completely covered in mud. Rita discovered that her shoes were strangely missing, and her feet were black and blue. Had they come off when she was thrown, or when she was crossing the field? Rita didn't know. Appearing in the March 2009 issue of the Birmingham UFO Group's interactive magazine, UFO World, there is an account which was sent to them by a man named Colin Foster. Accompanying his story, which was titled Alien or Ghost, was a photograph which I found quite interesting. I will read Colin's letter. Afterwards, I will discuss the image. This is the first photograph I've ever taken that has completely overwhelmed me. I was speechless, to say the least. Me and my ex-girlfriend have recently returned from a great trip in northern England, mainly the desolate, remote, and frankly quite eerie North Yorkshire Moors. I had my new digital camera and took literally hundreds of pictures of the beautiful panoramic landscapes. We noticed nothing at the time the pic was taken. However, upon arriving back home in the Midlands around a week later, I was scanning photos on my PC when my girlfriend suddenly grabbed my hand and whispered, "Stop." She insisted I zoom in to the center left of one particular picture, which I'd taken of the rather stunning snow-covered fields. At first I never saw it, but as soon as we zoomed in, we just turned to each other slowly, mouths agape, and quite frankly swore, which I won't repeat. All my friends and family are scratching their heads in awe. I'm not too sure where to send this, so I thought I'd start with you. Please, 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 can you put our minds at rest with this photograph? P.S. I've even included a photo of me trying to prove the authenticity of my pictures. Kind regards, Colin Foster from Wordsley, West Midlands, England. Sadly, Colin's second image was not included in the magazine article. The main image, the one with the anomaly, was included, however. The photo was taken on January 19, 2009 in the North Yorkshire Moors. It appears to show a semi-transparent figure standing in front of a fence, which is in front of a large snowy field on an overcast day. I assumed at first that the image was a double exposure, but the witness indicates that it was taken with a digital camera, which makes the double exposure unlikely. Next, I assumed that it might be a cutout of some kind. Many Sasquatch photos shared on social media are really just large cutouts that have been placed in a field, though the figure in this photograph appears to be semi-transparent. So, what is it? My next thought was that it was possibly some kind of Photoshop trickery going on, but if that was the case, then why would he include his real name in a photo of himself? If this photo is real, then I'm left to wonder what it is. In the past few years, there have been numerous reports coming from all over the world of encounters with predator-like, transparent and semi-transparent entities. Is this what Colin captured that overcast day in 2009? One of these glimmer men? What do you think?